Hi everyone, Chappy's Crypto here again with the second video in my Tradovate series of videos on how to use the Tradovate platform for trading futures. So in my last video I went through some of the basics on how to get set up with an account. However, this video is really about how to set up some of the charts. So I'm going to log into Tradovate. So it's just tradovate.com. You have three options when you log into their platform. So if you've got your account funded, when you come into the live environment, you'll be writing your live account. You can place trades straight into the market off the charts. I haven't funded my account as yet, but I'm in the process of doing that. I'm going to click on here and I'm going to come into the simulation environment because we're going to have a look at how to set up the charts to show us the TPO or time price opportunity. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a great website called the Tradovate. If you come along into their website, join the Discord. They've got a TPO bootcamp, which is a 5-day course to learn how to do market profile or read market profile and start to trade using that theory. Or you can join their live trade room, which is paid for service, where you can follow along as Bitcoin Brad and 3M Trader trade the ES as well as crypto markets. However, once you log into Tradovate, this is the default template that you'll see when you've logged in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I've adjusted this layout to look a little bit like my default one that I like to trade with. So up the top left hand corner you'll see this plus icon. Now the nice thing about Tradovate, it's very modular, so you can build your charts to suit however you like to trade and whatever information you like to have on your charts. So on my particular one, I've actually saved my previous template. So if you come in here, you'll notice that once you've set up your layout the way you like it, you can just type in and press save. But if you see here, I've got one called Chappy's Crypto. If I click on that, you'll notice here for me, this is my default setup I've got. So I've got a TPO chart with the session profile with the volume down the side here. My session starts with an A for the day session. That's my overnight session, starting with an R for the session, which is the letters. I've got the DOM up here, and I've got a VWAP showing with three standard deviations for the VWAP. So that's the way my setting is set up. It's taken me a few weeks to get it just like that. However, we're going to go back into the default layout so you can see what you would start with. Now for me, I'm going to trade, I've been paper trading the MES, which is the micro. The ES is just it's the S&P 500 derivative, E-mini it's referred to as. And so I want to go through and show you how to turn off and get the TPO settings turned on for yourself. So the nice thing when you look at each of these windows, when I click on a window, you'll see that there's these little buttons at the top of each of these charts. So you see there's some buttons up here, and each of these has, so each of these modules essentially is a window within the window of your browser. Now, if you're using the Mac app or the PC app, you can have it all within one application window, or you can break it off and have multiple windows, which is extremely powerful. So I have a 4 screen setup, 3 external displays in my MacBook Pro. And so I actually have my chart, usually this chart, say my TPO chart, will be actually on an external display. So I'll use the Mac app, I'll break that off as a separate window in its own right, and I'll actually drag that across to a different display. So I've got the whole TPO chart on the screen on its own. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to turn off and I'm going to close out that chart, get rid of it. I'm actually going to get rid of most of these things off this chart, and I'm going to show you how to set up from scratch. So get rid of each of these particular things here, and all I've got left is my DOM. Now you'll notice it's actually got 3 different tickers loaded here. I'm going to close each of those because I don't trade those, I'm not interested in them. And what I want to do is I'm going to actually add one for the MES. So I'm going to add a new tab, which is just a little plus button here. Press new tab. I'll just type in MES. It will search. So I'm interested in the micro E-mini S&P. It's a SU, and once you start looking at futures, you'll start to understand that the information here refers to the type of contract that you're looking at. So the SU is September contract, or expiring in September. So that's the current one that we're looking at. So this is the MES, the September contract, and that's just what they call it. So if you're not familiar with that, go along to the SCME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange website, and you can read all about the different contracts. In futures, it's really important to understand the tool that you're trading. Do not play with futures until you start to understand some of that stuff, because it's an incredibly important thing to understand. Now we've got the DOM. It's fantastic. It's not that useful, obviously. Some people actually trade directly off this, and the nice thing about this, you can trade directly off the DOM if you want to. So you can place trades. I can press, if I press a limit order, it'll do it on the this chart, And on the DOM, if I press my left mouse button, it'll do a limit order. Right mouse button, it'll place a stop order. Very powerful. If you come from the crypto markets, you can't enter stop orders in the same manner that you can if you use platforms like Gocharting or Bybit. So it gives you that function. So this is a real trading platform. So I want to add another chart here, which is to add the TPO chart. So at the top left hand corner there's a plus button, and so to add a chart, just press that or add a module, and it gives you all these different things you can choose. So you can add a performance center, tick stream, order flow, or orders, or whatever. So in this instance we're going to add a chart. So when I do that, it asks me where on the screen do I want to place this chart. So let's place it over the right hand side of the screen here. Now we can reposition the screen, so I don't need the DOM to take up that much room. So squeeze it across here to the left side. So this is the chart. So I know this is the chart module, and that this area is the part of the screen now that's been set up for this chart. So when I come in here, it knows I'm looking at the MES because that's my previous search. Press select. It's loaded the MES. Now this is the default settings it loads when you load a default chart. And when you're actually looking at this chart, you'll see that we want to actually change some of the settings in here. So the interesting thing about this, when you actually have a chart loaded, is whenever you place your cursor on there, it tries to place an order. You then choose what you want to do. Obviously we're not placing orders at the moment, the market's actually closed. But one of the things that I found extremely annoying with Tradovate when I started, you notice what happens there. If I drag down the click, it auto snaps back up, and it was actually doing my head in. And after using this for a couple of days, I actually stopped using it because I thought it was a dreadful tool, because I didn't want the charts to do that. The other thing, which I'm going to show you how to turn that off in a second, you'll see you've got these other two indicators, your volume, average directional index, which I don't use. So within the chart, you'll see these tools have just popped up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn off a couple of those settings. So indicators is just here. We've got configure chart elements, which is each of these objects you see on the screen. So that's the main chart. Triangular moving average, I don't want that. I'll turn that off. Average directional index, I'm going to turn that off. And the volume, I'm going to turn that off. So I've just got the chart here with the main elements of the chart. Now you'll also see that the type of chart I've got turned on is a candlestick. So I'm not interested in a candlestick chart because I trade using the TPO. So if I click on that there, I'm going to come down here and turn on the TPO. So that's just the default TPO settings. Once again, see how this is doing that weird snap thing, doing my head in. So how do I turn that off? So this will be a little tool. Hopefully you've picked this little tip up. This is going to save you about a week worth of frustration. Under the chart settings, down the bottom here where it says continuous auto fit, if you click on that, you can turn that off. Now continuous auto fit is gone now. It doesn't do that automatic snapback. Now one of the things that you'll notice within this chart is that if you want to get the settings the way you like them, excuse me for a second, it's really important to get the session times right so the information is displayed correctly. So to get your session times correct, I've actually taken a screenshot of my settings. So if you're actually watching this, you want to take a screenshot. So these are the settings for Australia. I'm just going to move that away in a second, but we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to set that up. So in here, the option you're going to go to is you're going to configure, which is that button there, which disappeared. If you click on that, configure chart elements, and we're going to go down to MES 30 minute. Click on this, and it gives you all the settings for this chart, for the TPO settings for the chart type, because we're using the TPO chart. Now, I actually made an error with this when I initially set this up, but I want to add 2 sessions. So first and foremost, I'm working on Australian times, so I need to have it, and you got to do it in chronological order. So the actual session time starts in Australian times is actually 7, and this is the actual overnight session, which is really confusing, but I finally worked it out. So this is the overnight session in the States. It goes from 7 Australian time till 11:30, and I'm going to have the actual session start with the letter R, because that's the overnight session for me, because so the actual session starts on a Sunday evening, and then the day session starts then on a Monday morning. So I'm going to add another session, which will now be the day session. And so in Australian time, it's 23:30 or 11:30. In American time or in New York time, I'm pretty sure it's 9:30 in the morning. So you've just got to work out your particular time zone settings to get that right. And the end of that session should be 6 o'clock Australian time. And I want to start that session with the letter A. Now you have the ability as well to turn off I'm going to turn off the auto size TPO, and I'm going to turn my tick size down to 1. And you can come down here and there's a whole bunch of settings. You can turn whatever color you like the POC, how you like the volume profile to be displayed, truckloads of settings. You can just personalize that to suit whatever you like. And I'll probably do some other videos in time as I go through and show you some of my individual settings that I like. I'm going to actually have it so that the night session, the whole session, is actually a purpley color. So I'm just going to do that now. Let's make that purple. And the day session, let's just keep that orangey sort of color, and you can change the individual letter colors as well. I'm going to keep the C there, but I would like the A and the B to be red. Actually, let's make that green just for fun. There you go. I'm going to apply that, press save. There we go. Now we've actually got, so if I scroll my scroll wheel on my mouse, you'll see it'll expand in and out. And if you come across the price on this, and if you scroll up and down, you'll see that you'll start to see the TPO information. So there we go. Now I've actually got my chart set up, showing the market profile for each session. I've got the volume profile on by default, and one of the things that you'll notice here is that it's a little bit hard to see that information or the volume on the actual volume profile there. So once again, come into configure chart elements, and as you scroll down, you'll see where it says volume profile. If you want to change the color of the text on that, it's this thing here called the label, and that's the color of the actual text there. So if I click on that, I want to make the text white. Press apply, save. There we go. Now I can see the colors of that a little bit better. You could go in through there as well and change the color. That light blue is a little bit hard to see, but it's just personal preference. So there you go. We've got a basic TPO chart loaded. I can scroll in and out. I've got it set to 1 tick size. I've got the opening and closing time set, so that open of the day market, that's the overnight market there, which is pretty cool. And now I can start to use this chart quite effectively to start paper trading. One thing as well that you might find is really useful, particularly if you've come across something like Gocharting, or you're familiar with other platforms. If I want to split this profile out, if you just press your mouse button on anywhere within that chart, it gives you the option to split this profile. So if I press that, it'll split this out. If I want to collapse it again, press the button, merge the profile, or remove all splits and merges. There you go. It's really, really powerful. So if I just wanted to split at D, there you go, A, B, 3, and then we've got D through to M. I want to remove all splits again. If I just wanted to have this one here split, and I might want to have the previous profile split as well. There we go. Super powerful. It's a really cool tool, and you'll notice it's actually even got the half back turned on. So if you're familiar with that, you notice it's got the midway point marked on each of these bars. And yeah, there's truckloads of options, and it's a really comprehensive tool. One of the really subtle things I've only just noticed recently, it's probably hard to see on this YouTube video, is it also marks the open and close of each bar as well. And there's this really little subtle arrow just there. That's the open of that candle. That's the close. That's the open. That's the close. That's the open. There's these tiny subtle triangles. There is a setting within your price settings, which is actually under here. Come into settings, and you've got the open. Sorry, that's a price levels, which is actually the levels that are marked across here, and that's actually showing the current price level. But in the settings, you can actually change the color of that marker. I haven't worked out how to make it brighter just yet, but anyway, there's just so much information within this platform. So that's Tradovate. The beauty about Tradovate is you have the ability to place trades on the chart. So if this is live action right now, and I wanted to say place a trade at the top of M, market's closed currently, so nothing's going to happen right now. But if I wanted to place a trade there, I can choose a limit order or a buy one stop if I was looking for a long. So press that, it would actually just said order rejected because the market's closed and I can't place a stop above the current price anyway. This is a bit silly. However, super powerful. And I'll go into some other options later as I do more videos on Tradovate. You've got things called bracket orders, which if you come across from something like Bybit or Binance, it's that ability to place a stop loss and take profit automatically. So hope that was interesting for everyone. As I said, I've just started to play with Tradovate over the last 2 weeks. We've been using it pretty heavily. I've just given you two tools or two little tricks on how to set up your sessions. using the settings within here, and how to turn off that extremely annoying little feature, which is a continuous autofit. Those two features there will make this become a really useful platform for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'll do some more videos on Tradovate over the next few weeks, and I hope you enjoyed that, and looking forward to anyone that wants to come along and start trading the MES or the ES. And if you haven't done so already, check out the tradevets.com, and until next time, that's all from me. If you got any questions, chuck them down in the comments below, and read through the description. Appreciate a like if you haven't liked the video already. And until next time, bye for now.